Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share, and subscribe. Enjoy today's episode.
When the Yellow Emperor and the others saw all the higher-ups raising their hands, they looked at each other and could not help but click their tongues. This was the charm of controlling a large number of high-end resources. A casual sentence could make countless experts work hard for him. Why do I feel that a rich man has come to our human race? Patriarch Lu muttered. Haha. The Yellow Emperor laughed and sighed. Previously, I was a little worried that the resources we were going to provide to Zhou Zhou would be opposed and gossiped about by the other upper echelons of the human race. From the looks of it, this shouldn't happen. Patriarch Lu, and Bai He smiled and nodded. Zhou Zhou. The Yellow Emperor looked at Zhou Zhou. I will inform all the human factions that you need help. But there's one thing you need to be prepared for. Currently, the various human factions are generally not doing well because of the calamity of the myriad races. Coupled with the war on your side, it might start tonight. So we might not be able to send too many helpers in such a short period of time. At most, we can only get the human factions in the High Continent to help you. Furthermore, it might only be God spirits. As for soldiers below the God spirit level, they won't be able to rush over so quickly. No problem. Zhou Zhou nodded. He understood very well. The God spirits each had their own escape techniques. Even though most of them could not catch up to the galaxy, they were comparable to ordinary spaceships. It was indeed possible for them to rush over from afar. However, as long as the normal soldiers were not at the God spirit level, they definitely did not have the magic power to attack from an ultra-long distance in a short period of time. Unless a Lord faction had spatial treasures that could carry a large number of lives, such as the Sky Spirit Ship and the World Ring, it was impossible to do so. However, those treasures were very rare. Even Zhou Zhou had only obtained 3 or 4 by chance. Most of them had been upgraded through the King of Loots. Ordinary kingdom-level Lord factions probably did not have them. He didn't mind. It was fine as long as the God spirits were in place. As for soldiers, he alone was enough. The more gods that can come, the better. If it's too far, you can use the galaxy in my territory to pick it up. Zhou Zhou thought for a moment and said, the galaxy can indeed do it. Lu Zhen and Ji Yun, who were sitting in the front row, nodded when they heard this. Then, Ji Yun stroked his beard and smiled. My daughter just took 5 galaxy spaceships from the Blazing Sun Kingdom not long ago. I've experienced that speed before. When flying at full speed, even the speed of a top-notch high-tier Dieta level is far inferior. I'm afraid only a true God tier can steadily surpass Galaxy's speed. That's right. Lu Zhen smiled at Zhou Zhou with anticipation in his eyes. Neph, 6th Counselor, when will my 10 galaxy ships be completed? After you build those 10 galaxies, I plan to personally lead my troops to support the other human forces. Not only was the Divine Sword Empire the eldest brother of the 5 empires, but it was also the strongest lord country in the entire human race. Every time the human race was in trouble, the Divine Sword Empire would always be the first to help the other human lord factions and save the human race from trouble. If the Divine Sword Empire did not help out, countless human lord factions would be destroyed by the people of foreign races and the Mist faction. Now that the Divine Sword Empire had escaped the siege of the Fog Monster factions, they had already begun to prepare to support the other human factions without stopping. The galaxy was extremely important to them. 10 galaxies will be completed in the next 5 days. I'll send someone to deliver it personally. Zhou Zhou said. Then, he said seriously, also, Uncle Lu and Uncle Ji don't have to call me the 6th Counselor. I'm still used to hearing you call me nephew. Okay. Lu Zhen was stunned for a moment before sighing. Good nephew. He and Ji Yun had indeed not chosen the wrong person. The gods looked at Lu Zhen and Ji Yun enviously. This fellow and Ji Yun had true god-tier backers like Patriarch Lu and Bai He to begin with. Now, there was another super genius with true god-tier combat power at the legendary tier realm. What kind of dog luck was this? Also, actually, you don't have to send troops over. At this moment, Zhou Zhou said, even though the other party sent about 5 billion Scarlet Fog soldiers this time, there are even Empire-level soldiers among them. But I believe that the soldiers under my command are not weaker than them. He sounded very confident when he said this. The gods looked at each other, then nodded. They no longer treated Zhou Zhou as an ordinary expert, so even if he said something so ridiculous, they could accept it. All right, we'll do as little friend Blazing Sun says. The Yellow Emperor nodded and chose to believe Zhou Zhou. There's one more thing, Emperor Huang said. Actually, we can also invite some god spirits from the people of foreign races to help. For example, those allies of the people of foreign races who have been in the human alliance for more than 1,000 years, and the Yellow Emperor looked at Zhou Zhou and smiled. Recently, because of your appearance, they have chosen to come into contact with us humans and made an alliance oath. Because of me? Zhou Zhou was stunned. The Yellow Emperor and the other god spirits smiled and nodded. Obviously, they all knew about this. The corners of Zhou Zhou's mouth twitched. So he was the last to know. Actually, when you obtained the strongest novice lord, some people of foreign races who are friendly with us humans started to learn about you from us. When you won first place in the Myriad Races Lord Battlefield event, many people of foreign races, even those who had nothing to do with us previously, suddenly came knocking on our door and said that they wanted to build a friendly relationship with us humans. Those people of foreign races who have good diplomatic relations with the human race are still all right. We can still barely believe them. As for those people of foreign races that we've never seen before, we naturally can't trust them easily. Therefore, we investigated the other party secretly while maintaining a friendly relationship on the surface. Turns out, the main reason why these unfamiliar people of foreign races who suddenly contacted us want to build a friendly relationship with us humans is because of you. The Yellow Emperor looked at Zhou Zhou. After they found out about your ranking in the event, they valued your potential. Some leaders of the people of foreign races even frankly said that with your achievements in the event, even if it's very difficult for you to become the lord of all races in the future, as long as you live and continue to develop, you might become an overlord force in the myriad worlds in the future. Do you know what a transcendent power is? A faction with a master god tier is an overlord faction. Zhou Zhou had many legacies in his mind, so he naturally knew what an overlord force meant. He smiled and said, "They really think highly of me." Even though he already had many subjects with master god tier potential under him, having this potential did not mean that he could definitely become a master god tier. If one wanted to advance to the master god tier realm, it was no longer just a matter of promotion energy and nomological comprehension after all. There were even other important conditions that were needed to become a high and mighty master god tier. Potential was only one of the many thresholds for such existences. Becoming a master god tier is indeed very difficult. The Yellow Emperor's expression was gloomy. The upper echelons of the human race knew that the Imperial Lord Pengu was a peerless genius suspected to have the potential of a master god tier. It might even have reached the legendary limit of the world. Until now, the human race had already produced more than a second or even third master god tier genius. However, Imperial Lord Pengu had yet to advance to become a master god tier. It could be seen how difficult and bumpy the path of becoming a master god tier was. However, even if you only have a 1 in 10,000 chance of becoming a force to be reckoned with, they will still dare to invest in you. After all, they are all middle and low-level bloodline life forms like us humans who have been oppressed by high-level bloodline races for a long time. They only want to seize every opportunity to climb up, the Yellow Emperor said. However, even though they want to form an alliance with us humans, it's not like we humans will form an alliance with them without investigating anything. Originally, we had been investigating the situation of these races and civilizations that came to the alliance. However, since you're in danger this time, why don't we take this opportunity to ask these people of foreign races for help and let them send God's spirit-level combatants to help? If they are truly willing to invest in you and are willing to come and help, then we humans will definitely repay them as friends in the future. However, if the other party has ulterior motives or only wants to take advantage of us without paying, we can take this opportunity to eliminate them, Patriarch Lu said from the side. The Yellow Emperor and Bai He nodded slightly. The other higher-ups of the human race nodded in agreement. This was indeed a good way to screen for allies. I also have some methods to determine if the other party is here with good intentions. When the time comes, I can also screen those experts of the people of foreign races. If the other party sincerely wants to join our human race, I don't mind giving them some inferior divine artifacts according to their battle results after the battle. Zhou Zhou said. He was naturally talking about his talent intuition. To a certain extent, this thing could be used as a top-notch lie detector. Sure. The Yellow Emperor and the other two discussed for a while before nodding. Giving them divine artifacts also had the intention of revealing the strength of the human race. This could also increase the confidence of those people of foreign races who sincerely wanted to join the human race. In the chaotic world of all races, the benefits of showing off one's abilities and skills were definitely greater than the disadvantages. After that, the gods discussed the specific details for a while before the Supreme Conference ended. The illusory bodies of the gods disappeared from their seats. Finally, only Zhou Zhou, the Yellow Emperor, Patriarch Liu, and Bai He were left in the highest meeting room. Senior Yellow Emperor, how many god spirit level combatants do you think I can invite this time? Zhou Zhou asked curiously. There's too little time left for us. When the war begins, there will probably only be 40 to 50 human god spirits. As for the people of foreign races, I'm not sure, but I don't think there will be too many. Most of the people of foreign races who came to join us humans are weaker than us humans. Some races, or even the entire race, only have one god spirit. Once this god spirit dies, this race will quickly be enslaved by other races with god spirits. This is very normal in the High Continent. The Yellow Emperor thought for a moment and said, there are actually 50 to 60 human god spirits who can come? Zhou Zhou was surprised by this matter. Why are there so many? I heard that there are only about 50 god spirits in a powerful empire like the Elven Empire. Furthermore, there are also many god spirits from the people of foreign races. There are only more than 10 elven god spirits. The Elven Empire is the Elven Empire. In the entire elven race civilization, the Elven Empire only formed a part of the elves. The Yellow Emperor said patiently, as far as we know, in the entire elven civilization, there are a total of 7 empire-level lord factions established by the elves on the High Continent alone. The Elven Empire only represents the original elven lineage of the elves. Not to mention the factions of the elves scattered throughout the myriad worlds. Think about it. The elves have nearly 500 god spirits on the High Continent alone. How many elves would there be in the entire universe? Then how many god spirit level powerhouses do we humans have in total? Zhou Zhou asked subconsciously. Then, he suddenly realized that his question was a little presumptuous. The number of gods of a race could be said to be the most important foundation of this race. How could he casually reveal such a confidential matter? Currently, there are a total of 132 human god spirits on the High Continent. To Zhou Zhou's surprise, the Yellow Emperor only pondered for a moment before telling him about this. As for the human god spirits in the myriad worlds, we don't know. But there should be nearly 1,000 of them. However, a portion of these god spirits are stationed in the lower realm. On one hand, they are protecting the Ascension platform, and on the other hand, they are protecting the humans of that realm. The other portion belongs to the lone god spirits and are not under our jurisdiction. Coupled with the difficulty of crossing realms, it's very difficult for us to transfer them to the High Continent. Zhou Zhou nodded slightly. It seemed that the only people he could rely on now were the humans of the High Continent. As for the humans in the myriad worlds, he'll worry about that later. Senior Yellow Emperor, other than the Saha Empire, how are the Great Xia Empire and the Heavenly Barbarian Empire? Zhou Zhou asked the question he had always wanted to ask. He was still thinking about the faction quests that these two empires might have. The situation of the Great Xia Empire and the Heavenly Barbarian Empire is similar to that of the Night Empire. However, as the Divine Sword Empire and the Night Empire's god spirits and troops are freed, our situation will gradually improve in the future. If you have time in the future, you can go to the Great Xia Empire and the Heavenly Barbarian Empire and explain the situation to the current king. They will give you the corresponding faction mission. The Yellow Emperor saw through Zhou Zhou's intentions and said directly. Zhou Zhou acknowledged. Then, he did not stay any longer. After chatting for a while, he bade farewell to the three of them and left. After Zhou Zhou left, the three of them looked at each other. Then, he smiled and sighed. Every time I see this kid, I find surprises in him. Perhaps it won't be long before he can truly stand shoulder to shoulder with us. It's not far now. Patriarch Lu smiled. The Yellow Emperor nodded slightly as he thought about the future. The appearance of little friend Blazing Sun is a great opportunity for us humans, but it is also accompanied by a great challenge. I have to prepare more. He thought silently. After Zhou Zhou walked out of the highest meeting room, he saw Rob Allen guarding the door. Zhou Zhou did not think too much about it and went over to say hello. Greetings, Sixth Counselor. The god of Silver Star Knights, Rob Allen, hurriedly said. Why are we so distant? Zhou Zhou was speechless. His personal relationship with Rob Allen was quite good. He often came here to chat and spar with Rob Allen. However, this guy was very busy most of the time and did not spend much time together. Even though it was not much, Zhou Zhou could tell that he was a frank, sincere, and kind person. These 3 points alone were enough to make him want to make friends. Rob Allen was stunned. Then, he saw Zhou Zhou's sincere expression and couldn't help but smile. How does it feel to participate in the Supreme Council of the human race? He was curious and envious. They're all pretty good. I've also learned a lot of things that I didn't know before, Zhou Zhou said. Then, he talked about some details of the meeting that did not need to be kept secret. Rob Allen was even more envious after hearing this. After chatting for a while, Zhou Zhou prepared to leave. He planned to go back and see what kind of legendary tier Lord talent was engraved in the legendary tier Lord talent origin divine crystals. However, not long after he left, he heard Rob Allen call out to him. I'll be there tonight. He grinned and said, let me show you my recent improvements. Then I'll have to take a good look with a magnifying glass. Zhou Zhou replied. The two of them laughed and Zhou Zhou walked out of the night temple. Advanced Grade Lord's Paradise. In the study, Zhou Zhou took out the legendary tier Lord Talent Sphere. Treasure name, Lord Talent Sphere, Super Construction Engineering 9. Treasure grade, Legendary tier. Treasure effect. After absorbing it, the Lord will have legendary tier Lord Talent, Super Construction Engineering 9. Treasure description. A rare treasure that contains the Lord Talent. After absorbing it, you can obtain a legendary tier Lord Talent. Super Construction Engineering 9? Zhou Zhou raised his eyebrows. Was it a Lord Talent related to construction? He did not think too much about it and chose to absorb it. The next second, this legendary tier Lord Talent Sphere immediately turned into countless golden light spots and surged into his glabella. Zhou Zhou closed his eyes. A moment later, he reopened his eyes again after some time. Then, he immediately opened his Lord's personal information. In his Lord Talent column, the legendary tier Lord Talent, Super Construction Engineering 9, appeared. The 32nd Lord Talent. Zhou Zhou nodded. Then, he opened the details of the talent. Lord Talent, Super Construction Engineering 9, Legendary Tier. Super Construction Engineering 9. Territory Construction Type Lord Talent. The construction efficiency of your territory buildings has increased by 90,000%. Zhou Zhou looked at the last number in a daze. It took him a few seconds to come back to his senses. He sucked in a sharp breath. Good God. Construction efficiency increased by 90,000%. That's an increase of 900 times. Which means, a building that originally needed 9 years to build could be completed in 3 days with the help of this Lord Talent? No wonder it was called Super Construction Engineering 9. He thought about the use of this Lord Talent for a while, and then an extremely obvious smile appeared on his lips. This Lord Talent came at the right time. Zhou Zhou's eyes lit up. Due to his continuous expansion of his territory, new regional territories were added almost every day in the kingdom. Among these newly added regional territories, the regions that originally had cities were still all right. His Blazing Sun Kingdom only needed to undergo some minor repairs and modifications before he could move in again, allowing the subjects to quickly enter a normal life. If it was an uninhabited area without a city, in order to resolve the increasing population pressure and jurisdiction problems in the Blazing Sun Kingdom, they had to build new territorial cities in this uninhabited area. Originally, this process was very slow. After all, building a city was not something that could be done overnight. They were like the organs of a country, requiring a long time to be properly nurtured. But now, with this super construction engineering 9, he could cross this long period of time in a short period of time and directly obtain a large number of cities. Moreover, if he obtained any rare but long construction period in the future, this lord talent could easily solve the small problem of the long construction period. City is one of the most important foundations of a country, and also one of the most important foundations of a country. As a lord who has just arrived in the high continent, it's very difficult for me to compare to those native lords with a long history in this aspect. But with this lord talent, I will be able to quickly make up for the gap between me and those native lords in this aspect. The more Zhou Zhou thought about it, the more he found this lord talent pleasing to the eye. He felt that this lord talent would be of great use in the future. Top-grade lord talent. Zhou Zhou sighed. At this moment, there was a knock on the door. Your Majesty, Master Zhao Changshu requests an audience. Aaliyah's voice came. Let him in. Zhou Zhou was stunned for a moment before replying. Yes, Your Majesty. Aaliyah left. A moment later, Zhao Changshu came to Zhou Zhou. Greetings, Your Majesty. Zhao Changshu said happily. Did something happen? Zhao Changshu said happily. Your Majesty. The construction of the dragon transformation pool is unexpectedly smooth. Just now, for some reason, the efficiency of our construction of the dragon transformation pool suddenly increased by more than 100 times. The dragon transformation pool was officially completed in less than 3 minutes. Originally, according to our plan, we wouldn't be able to officially complete it until after dark. Zhao Changshu was both excited and confused. It was obvious that he did not know what had happened. Zhou Zhou smacked his lips gently. This super construction engineering IX's effect was set up very quickly. This is a territory buff that I just obtained. It's specially used to increase the efficiency of construction. In the future, such things will remain normal. When you go back, tell this to the construction professionals in the territory and let them get used to it. Zhou Zhou didn't think too much about it, nor did he want to hide it. As for the exact amount of benefits, Zhou Zhou did not say it explicitly for fear of scaring them. Let them find out for themselves. I see. There's actually such a buff that's suitable for our territory? Zhao Changshu was pleasantly surprised and excited. He immediately said, I'll tell them when I get back. With this unique benefit, Zhao Changshu understood that the architects would benefit the most. In the future, the growth speed of architects like them would be greatly improved because of this territory buff. As long as the duration of this territory buff was longer, perhaps in a few days, a large number of legendary tier architects would appear in King of the Blazing Sun's country. Zhou Zhou acknowledged. I'll go to the dragon transformation pool to take a look. Yes, Your Majesty. Please follow me. Zhao Changshu said immediately. A moment later, in a square in the southeast corner of the territory, a huge black dragon pool that covered an area of more than 10,000 square kilometers stood here. 2 black dragon statues with pitch-black dragon horns on their heads, blood-red eyes, wings on their backs, and strong bodies stood facing each other. They spat out a strange golden spring water that fell into the vast dragon transformation pool, forming a golden pool. No. In the eyes of normal life forms, this vast pool was actually enough to be called the Dragon Transformation Lake. Under this pair of black dragon statues, the black rock walls around the Dragon Transformation Pool were also carved with a large number of myths and legends of non-pure-blooded dragons advancing further through the Dragon Transformation Pool and becoming pure-blooded dragons. It looked fascinating. At the same time, a majestic and endless dragon might spontaneously spread out from this dragon building. Under this dragon might, not to mention normal life forms. Even drake species with low bloodline purity would find it difficult to approach this place. Perhaps only pure-blooded dragons would approach the dragon transformation pool unaffected. Fortunately, Zhou Zhou and the nearby soldiers were all dragon slayer. Therefore, he did not feel any special pressure from the dragon might. So this is the dragon transformation pool? Zhou Zhou looked at the dragon building in wonder. Men, Zhou Zhou suddenly said, Your Majesty. A legendary tier soldier guarding this place immediately ran over and said respectfully to Zhou Zhou, Bring over all 200 drake species in the territory. Zhou Zhou instructed. These 200 drake species were all sent over by the Dragon Lady Lord. 150 of them had been sent over previously. The remaining 50 were sent intermittently over the past 2 days. He could tell that this Dragon Lady Lord had put in a lot of effort to please Zhou Zhou. Zhou Zhou did not ask for it for nothing. He returned the favor and gave her a large number of weapons, equipment, skill books, and other war resources. Coupled with the large number of soldier-type class change certificates that Zhou Zhou had given them previously and the insight defection talent that was also shared after becoming an affiliated kingdom, the combination of the three was enough to increase Dragon Lady Lord's strength by more than 10 times in a short period of time. Among the kings of the affiliated kingdoms under his command, the Dragon Lady Lord could be said to be the person who trusted Zhou Zhou the most to bring her an unimaginable future. Yes, Your Majesty. The soldier nodded, then turned around and left quickly. Soon, under the lead of the legendary tier soldier, accompanied by the rumbling of the ground, a group of drake species of various forms ran over from afar and quickly arrived in front of Zhou Zhou. Your Majesty, the 200 drake species have all been brought over. The soldier said respectfully. You may leave. Zhou Zhou waved his hand and saw the legendary tier soldier return to his post and continue standing guard. Zhou Zhou's gaze landed on the dragons. When they arrived, they looked at Zhou Zhou nervously, respectfully, and infatuatedly. They could clearly feel the bloodline pressure from the light sacred dragon on Zhou Zhou. But soon, their gazes were attracted by something else. It was the official dragon transformation pool. The 200 drake species looked at the water in the dragon transformation pool in a daze. Even though they did not know what the effect of the dragon transformation pool's water was, their bloodline instincts made their breathing become heavy. Their gazes towards the dragon transformation pool water became a little fiery, eager, and even greedy, as if they would not be able to control the restlessness in their hearts in the next second and pounce towards the dragon transformation pool. Hmph! At this moment, a voice that sounded like a human and a dragon's roar sounded. It was Zhou Zhou. Something magical happened. Hearing this, the dragons who had been a little strange just now actually woke up at this moment and lowered their heads in fear. It was unknown if he was afraid of the terrifying effect of the dragon transformation pool, or if he did not dare to look at Zhou Zhou, a humanoid dragon. Zhou Zhou glanced at these drake species disdainfully. Not a single drake dared to look him in the eye. Seeing this, Zhou Zhou suddenly felt a little bored. He casually pointed at a single-horned earth dragon that was 5 to 6 meters tall. It was grayish-white and wore dragon armor. Then, he pointed at the dragon transformation pool behind him. This one-horned earth dragon, which was an extraordinary tier advanced grade, saw Zhou Zhou's obvious order and its eyes immediately lit up. It looked at the dragon transformation pool and took 2 steps back. It was the last to run. It jumped up and fell into the dragon transformation pool with a plop. After a while, the single-horned earth dragon had just popped its head out of the calm lake. Its entire dragon body was immersed in the water of the dragon transformation pool, and an expression of enjoyment appeared on its face. The golden spring water flowed around the one-horned earth dragon, causing its body to glow with a faint golden light. At the same time, Zhou Zhou sensitively sensed it. This originally ordinary drake-horned earth dragon's bloodline purity was actually increasing towards the purity of a pure-blooded dragon's bloodline at an astonishing speed. A moment later, roar! An earth-shattering dragon roar sounded. A pure-blooded dragon with 3 yellow-brown dragon horns on its head and a huge yellow-brown dragon armor on its back flew out of the dragon transformation pool and soared into the sky. It was the original single-horned earth dragon. However, its appearance had changed drastically. He could only vaguely see what it looked like before. Zhou Zhou opened the other party's message. He discovered that its race name had changed from the original one-horned earth dragon to a new and easy name, Mountain Dragon. When Zhou Zhou saw this name, the corners of his lips curled up slightly. Mountain dragons were also one of the pure-blooded dragons. Compared to the mountain range giant dragon that slept in the mountain range all year round and absorbed the energy of the mountain range, causing it to be almost motionless, it did not have a powerful body unique to the giant dragon, but its size was much larger than ordinary pure-blooded dragons. Moreover, mountain dragons were active and belligerent. Their personalities were the complete opposite of mountain dragons. However, this was not important. Most importantly, the dragon transformation pool did not let him down. It could really purify the purity of the dragon bloodline and increase the strength of the dragon race. It could even let the Drake race advance to a pure-blooded dragon race. And the price was just the dragon transformation pool water made from some rare god-tier medicinal herbs. Zhou Zhou had the king of loots and had the backing of the human race. It could be said that he did not lack such things at all. Then, he carefully checked the water in the dragon transformation pool and discovered that only 1/10 of the water had been consumed. It was probably all used on the horned black dragon that was the first to come up. He did not mind and immediately ordered someone to immediately concoct another portion of the dragon transformation pool's water to replenish the resources that the dragon transformation pool had just consumed. Then, he called for the second drake. This time, this drake came from the lightning wing dragon race. After it evolved into the dragon pool, it quickly advanced into a pure-blooded dragon with the help of the dragon transformation pool. It was called the Sky Thunder Dragon. It was also a standard high-level race of the lightning wings dragon race. Right on the heels of that, the third drake, the fourth drake, the fifth drake. With the help of the dragon transformation pool, the drakes advanced to pure-blooded dragons one after another. Many members of the dragon god army who had sensed the aura here came over to take a look curiously. Zhou Zhou did not stay for long. At this speed, there were a total of 200 drakes. Every day and night, they would transform endlessly. It was not even noon yet. He still had a lot of time to make good use of today to prepare for tonight's battle. Soon, he found Bai Yun and the rest. At this moment, Bai Yun was leading the soldiers to rest. However, it was obvious. At this moment, the soldiers were full of energy and did not need to rest. They had conquered the New Wind Demon Kingdom in the morning and then returned after all. This round trip was not difficult at all. They did not feel tired at all. Let's go. Bring your troops with us to the Saha Empire. Warm up for tonight's fight. Zhou Zhou said. Yes, Your Majesty. When Bai Yun and the other generals heard this, their eyes lit up immediately. Then, they went to gather the soldiers. A moment later, the 8 galaxy ships set off from the capital and headed west. Then, the 8 galaxy spaceships activated Dark Universe travel mode and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Half an hour later, about 500 billion kilometers away from the blazing sun capital. This was where the capital of the Saha Empire, the immeasurable capital city, was located. About 1,000,000 meters above the immeasurable capital city, the 8 galaxy spaceships appeared and hovered in the air. Zhou Zhou's figure suddenly appeared above the spaceship. He looked at the familiar immeasurable capital city below and clicked his tongue in wonder. Dark Universe travel is indeed magical. It only took half an hour to cover a distance of more than 500 billion kilometers? As expected of a method used for cosmic travel, Zhou Zhou lamented. At this moment, a figure flew up from below and quickly arrived in front of Zhou Zhou. Who are you? How dare you? The 6th counselor. This person was stunned. Then, he looked at Zhou Zhou in disbelief. It was the heavenly bodhisattva of light, Roigar. I'm here for the appointment. Zhou Zhou went straight to the point. To the appointment. The heavenly bodhisattva of light. Roigar's eyes lit up, then he hesitated and said, But I haven't helped you yet. In that case, after settling the matters here, bring your Vajra bit Buddha back with me. Zhou Zhou said, Okay. Roigar nodded without hesitation this time. He looked at the 8 galaxy spaceships behind Zhou Zhou with envy in his eyes. Then, he said, I'll open the 3 Ages to Thagata's Nation Protection Array now. Get your spaceship to dock. I'll open the spaceship's berth. Zhou Zhou was not surprised. He had cultivated in the immeasurable capital city of the Saha world for more than 10 years, so he naturally knew that the various facilities in this capital city were very complete. Even though the Saha Empire did not have a factory to build spaceships, they had come into contact with the Machina race, a super-technological civilization, in their long history. In addition, there were also things like spirit boats and ferryman professions within the human race. Therefore, the capitals of the 5 empires and many other places had set up some facilities like berths. I'm not stopping. The fog monster faction won't give up the advantage of the night. The battle on my side might start tonight. The sooner we resolve the crisis of the Saha Empire, the sooner I can return. Tell me about your situation here first. Then give me your faction quests. Zhou Zhou said. Roigar was stunned by Zhou Zhou's straightforwardness. Why was it that the crisis of the Saha Empire could be so casually mentioned by him? However, when he thought of this guy's previous battle results, Roigar calmed down. The other party indeed had the confidence to say this. Currently, the Saha Empire is surrounded by 5 Empire-level Scarlet Legions, more than 50 Lord factions of kingdoms, and a large number of scattered low-level fog monster factions that want to take advantage of the situation. There are about 1.2 billion of them in total. If not for the fact that our Saha Empire has always valued the construction of regional city defense arrays, and that Buddhist cultivators are very good at defending and protecting themselves, our Saha Empire would probably have been destroyed on the 5th day of the calamity. When Roigar said this, his expression was very calm. But even so, after a long period of defense, more than half of our Saha Empire's defense power was gradually consumed. Now, our Saha Empire has lost almost half of its territory, and more than half of our Buddhist soldiers and subject believers have died. All we can do now is defend the remaining regional territories of the Empire. But the attacks of those fog monsters are getting more and more violent. According to our judgment, if no reinforcements arrive, we can only hold on for another half a month at most. Then, the entire country will die and be completely destroyed. Zhou Zhou's expression changed when he heard that. More than half of the Buddhist soldiers and subject believers had died. It had to be known that for a junior Empire-level Lord faction like the Saha Empire, the number of soldiers and ordinary subjects combined was at least 5 billion. If more than half of them died, didn't that mean that more than 2 billion humans in the Saha Empire had already died in this calamity of the myriad races? Moreover, there were more soldiers and subjects every second, constantly enduring the slaughter of the fog monsters. It seemed that the Saha Empire was indeed the most miserable among the 5 empires after the Buddha's nirvana. Give me a map of the Saha Empire. It needs to record the specific information on the distribution of the fog monsters. Zhou Zhou said. When Roigar heard this, he immediately took out a jade slip from the prayer beads hanging around his neck and handed it to Zhou Zhou. From the looks of it, this prayer bead was his spatial treasure. Zhou Zhou did not care about this. After receiving the jade slip, he entered it with his consciousness and saw the map. On the map, the huge Saha Empire had already been divided into 2 parts. One was real and the other was fake. Among them, the map area with a solid line was only a third of the size. It was the territory of the current Saha Empire that had yet to be captured. The map area with a dotted line took up 2/3 of the map size. It was the territory of the empire that had already been captured. At this moment, a large number of red fog dots were besieging the remaining unoccupied territory of the Saha Empire. Zhou Zhou's gaze landed on the spot with the densest red fog. Epic tier territory, Upali City. It read. This place was besieged by an Empire-level Scarlet Army called Demon Shine. Just this Empire-level Scarlet Army alone had gathered a total of 200 million fog monster troops. Even though Upali City was the famous monk city of the Saha Empire, with a large number of powerful Buddhist cultivators gathered there, the combat power of the entire city was extraordinary. Even so, this place was already on the verge of being breached. Zhou Zhou did not hesitate and chose this place as the first place to send troops. Bring your Vajra realm Buddha and come with me. We'll first deal with the fog monster faction that besieged Upoli city. Zhou Zhou said. Okay. Roygar nodded and immediately flew down. Then, he quickly brought back 5 Vajra realm Buddhas, comparable to the low-tier deity level from the immeasurable imperial city. Then, they boarded the galaxy and flew in the direction of Upo city. A moment later, Zhou Zhou and the others had arrived at Upali city. The huge Upali city was being besieged by a large number of fog monsters. More than half of the city wall had been broken through. A large number of monks held Buddhist staffs, Buddhist prayer beads, wooden fish, and other treasures that emitted the light of treasures. They rushed forward one after another and fought with the fog monster soldiers who wanted to rush in. However, under the attack of the fog monsters, the battle scene was very tragic, and the casualties were extremely heavy. The walls of Upali city have been breached. Roygar's expression changed when he saw this. Upali city was one of the Saha Empire's most powerful military fortresses. He had thought that this place could last for a few more days. He could not help but feel deeply grateful. Fortunately, the city walls had only been broken and not massacred. They still had a chance to save the city. On the other side, when Zhou Zhou saw this scene, he did not say anything else. He directly ordered Bai Yun to charge out with 2 billion soldiers to deal with the misty soldiers of the demonic light Scarlet Legion. Zhou Zhou had also activated his last insight defection on these fog monsters today. As a result, he had once again induced 50 million fog monsters. Among them, legendary tier fog monsters alone had been induced to rank 96. Today, just by instigating the insight defection, I've already obtained a subordinate with 100 million combat power. Zhou Zhou nodded slightly, and at the same time, roar. Cecir also flew out of galaxy with the army. It looked at the vast number of fog monster soldiers below, its sky-blue dragon eyes nervous and excited. Then, it roared and summoned thousands of legendary tier wind blades to charge at the fog monsters. Rumble. Thousands of wind blades descended on the battlefield. It was as if a terrifying flesh-cutting machine had suddenly appeared on the ground. Hundreds of thousands of fog monsters suffered heavy casualties under the terrifying wind blades. Even a low-tier deity-level elementary grade was slightly injured by Cecir's legendary tier draconic spell, Wind Blade Storm. Even though Cecir was only a legendary tier intermediate grade pure-blooded dragon, it could already deal with ordinary low-tier deity-level elementary grade god spirits. When Cecir saw that his attack had succeeded, he roared excitedly and soared into the sky again. Then, he summoned thousands of wind blades and charged towards the densest fog monsters below. Boom, 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 boom. Hundreds of thousands of fog monsters were killed by Cecir. Then, Cecir repeated the above actions again, killing happily. It was like a child who had been suffocated. It was releasing energy and excitement that it had no way of venting before. During this process, 2 Scarlet God spirits wanted to rush forward to stop Cecir's massacre. However, in the next second, a blood-colored figure flew over from afar and blocked in front of them. The other Scarlet God spirits have all been snatched away. I'll take the 2 of you who are left alone to try my axe. Guo Xiao grinned. The 2 Scarlet God spirits. You and the 2 of us are the ones who are left alone? Soon, under Guo Xiao's sharp axe, they immediately knew why Guo Xiao called them alone. Half an hour later, this battle of 2 billion blazing Sun Kingdom soldiers versus 200 million Empire-level Scarlet Fog Army ended with a crushing outcome. Bai Yun and the rest naturally won easily. Even the 4 Scarlet God spirits of the demonic light Scarlet Army could not escape the fate of defeat. When Roygar saw this, before he could bring the soldiers to thank Zhou Zhou, he saw that Zhou Zhou had already asked the soldiers to gather all the loots. Then, he boarded the galaxy again and prepared to rush to the next Saha Empire city that was besieged by the fog monsters. Roygar took a deep breath. For some reason, previously, Zhou Zhou's handsome face was so good-looking that it made one want to punch him, but now, it actually made he feel very charming. You guys stay here and rest well. We'll talk when I get back. Roygar informed the soldiers and subjects of Upoli City before flying back to the galaxy with his Vajra realm Buddhas. Time passed quickly. In the evening, scarlet fog gradually appeared in the air. In such an environment, the overall strength of the fog monster soldiers had increased by at least 30%. However, Zhou Zhou was not afraid at all. He directly got all the soldiers to activate the black membrane and continue fighting these fog monsters in the scarlet fog. At the same time, Zhou Zhou thought that it might not be convenient for Roygar and the others to fight in this environment enveloped by the scarlet fog. Unexpectedly, facing the increasingly dense scarlet fog, Roygar and the other Buddhist cultivators pressed their palms together and chanted. Then, a faint white Buddhist light gradually emitted from their bodies. Even though the white Buddhist light was not offensive, it isolated the scarlet fog that wanted to invade their bodies, making it difficult for them to advance further. Zhou Zhou clicked his tongue in wonder. In his heart, he warned himself not to underestimate everyone in the world. They had lived in the high continent for so long. How could they not figure out a way to prevent the invasion of the scarlet fog? The scarlet fog was still dominating the high continent and even the endless heavens. Zhou Zhou guessed that it was probably just the method they were researching. Due to various reasons, it could not be popularized on a large scale. 2 hours later, after the last city of the Saha Empire that was occupied by the fog monsters, Mulian City, was taken back, the entire Saha Empire completely recovered all its previous territory. When Roygar saw this scene, he pressed his palms together and sighed as he cried, Amidst. After helping benefactor Blazing Sun survive this calamity, I will lead all the Buddhist cultivators to recite the Nirvana reincarnation scripture for the humans who died in the calamity of the myriad races. Then, he looked at Zhou Zhou and bowed deeply. Thank you for your help, Benefactor Blazing Sunday. The Saha Empire was spared. Benefactor Blazing Sun, Roygar will always remember your kindness. If Benefactor Blazing Sun needs Roygar in the future, please feel free to ask. Roygar will do anything. Sure. Let's get on the spaceship first. I'm returning to the Blazing Sun Kingdom. Zhou Zhou did not stand on the ceremony and said directly. The other Buddhas nodded and boarded the galaxy together. Then, the spaceship activated dark universe travel and flew towards the Blazing Sun Kingdom. Half an hour later, Blazing Sun Kingdom. After Zhou Zhou returned, he immediately realized that the Blazing Sun Kingdom was abnormally lively. This was because in his perception, there were actually the auras of nearly 70 unfamiliar god spirits in the Blazing Sun Kingdom. Looks like backup is here. Zhou Zhou nodded. Then, he ordered the spaceship to descend. After Zhou Zhou and company walked out of the descending spaceship, a figure immediately appeared in front of him. This person had round eyes, a hairy face, a thunder god's mouth, a thin face, a sharp mouth, and a shriveled chin. His body was like a macaque eating pine cones. He wore a purple-gold 7-star crown on his head, and his feet were clad in a chain of yellow gold-tier armor. He held the compliant golden-hooped rod in his hand. He had the pressure of a high-tier deity level. Just by looking at him, one could tell that his combat strength was extraordinary. You're the king of the Blazing Sun? He looked at Zhou Zhou curiously. You are. As Zhou Zhou looked at his image, a thought suddenly appeared in his mind. He held back his excitement and asked, Me? He. My name is Sun Wukong. I used to be a lord. My territory is in the Flower Fruit Mountain Water Curtain Cave. My nickname is Great Sage Equal to Heaven. As of now, I've already entered the Void School and was conferred the title of Victorious Fighting Buddha by the Buddha. Is he really the Great Sage? Zhou Zhou's eyes lit up. Then, he immediately took out a piece of paper and handed it to Sun Wukong. Great Sage, can you give me an autograph? I grew up listening to your legends. Which Chinese person would remain reserved in front of the Great Sage equal to heaven? In any case, Zhou Zhou could not be reserved. No problem, no problem. Sun Wukong clearly did not expect Zhou Zhou to do this. As he pretended to be carefree and waved his hand, he grabbed a pen with his other hand and did not know where to start with the piece of paper. Sun Wukong had read many books, especially Buddhist scriptures and Taoist scriptures. However, he had very little experience in writing. Sun Wukong had a smile on his face, but he began to worry in his heart. His handwriting wasn't pretty. Listen to the myths and legends of this monkey, king of the blazing sun. Are you referring to how this monkey challenged the Buddha Lord and ended up being slapped to the ground by the Buddha Lord for 500 years? At this moment, another voice spoke. Who is it? How dare he speak ill of Big Brother Monkey? Zhou Zhou subconsciously looked over. However, he did not notice that Sun Wukong's face had already darkened. The person who came wore a three-mountain flying phoenix hat and a light yellow collar. A pair of golden boots paired with the panlong socks, a jade belt with 8 treasure makeup. He had a slingshot on his waist and a 3-pointed, double-edged spear in his hand. High-minded people don't care about the heavens and their families. Their pride returns to their spirits as they live in the Guan River. The Red City's Jiahui heroic spirit saint manifested as Erlang. God Erlang, Yang Jian? Zhou Zhou was shocked when he saw who the other party was. Yang three-eyed, you're asking for a beating. Before he could say anything, Sun Wukong had already roared angrily. He picked up the stick and slashed at Yang Jian. Only the signed piece of paper fell to the ground weakly. Violent monkey, let me see if you've made any progress in the past 1,000 years. Yang Jian's handsome face was cold. He was not afraid at all. He held the 3-pointed, double-edged saber in his hand, and a faint golden light slowly bloomed between his brows. It actually formed an illusory barrier around him. Obviously, this was specially set up by Yang Jian because he was worried that the aftershock of their battle would affect the Blazing Sun Kingdom. They're fighting. They're fighting. Second brother, monkey, you guys fight. I'll be the referee. A handsome young man with a heaven and earth ring in his hand, a heavenly red silk hanging from his waist, and firestorm wheels on his feet watched this scene excitedly. The other god spirits also looked like they were watching a show. When Zhou Zhou saw this scene, the corners of his mouth twitched. I called you here as reinforcements, and what are you trying to do? Everyone, it's not good to cause trouble in someone else's territory, right? At this moment, an adult male voice sounded. Baihe then walked out of the void. A world-shattering pressure emanated from Baihe's body, and all of the deities present felt as if the divine power within their bodies was a caged bird that couldn't be unleashed. Even Zhou Zhou was the same. He subconsciously held the sword of new dimension creation. Then, he accidentally discovered that when he held true god-tier divine artifacts like the sword of new dimension creation, he could actually use the protection of the true god-tier divine artifacts to ignore Baihe's true god-tier suppression and use the chaotic sacred power in his body. What a treasure! Zhou Zhou smiled faintly, and at the same time, greetings, Lord God of Abyssal Knights. The deities respectfully greeted. Even unruly people like Sun Wukong, Yang Jian, and Neza had to stop what they were doing and bow to Baihe in the sky. Baihe nodded slightly. Then, he looked around at the gods and slowly said, Today, a sea of fog monsters will invade the Blazing Sun Kingdom. There are probably about 100 scarlet god spirits among them. This is the battle of the Blazing Sun Kingdom. It's also a battle that our human race rarely sees in 100 years. You have to make preparations early. Even though the King of the Blazing Sun has the ability to revive, he can only revive mid-stage golden immortal realms, mid-tier deity level intermediate grade, and existences below the golden immortal realm. Therefore, if you can prevent yourself from dying, then please do. Yes, my lord, the divinities said. Some of the god spirits had solemn expressions. They were all existences above the mid-stage golden immortal realm, so this battle was extremely dangerous for them. Still, a reassuring smile appeared on their faces as they looked at their divine artifacts. They were powerful to begin with, and with their low-level divine artifacts, even if they were only mid-tier deity-level intermediate-grade deities, with the enhancement of the divine artifact, they already dared to fight against high-tier deity-level elementary-grade enemies. As long as they didn't do something ridiculous like courting death, such as directly challenging a top-notch scarlet god spirit who was in high-tier deity-level intermediate-grade advanced grade, they felt that they wouldn't be in too much danger. Rest well. Due to this supreme agreement, His Holiness the Yellow Emperor, His Holiness Patriarch Lu, and I will not participate in this battle. It's all up to you. Bai He said. Under the premise that the lords of the myriad races did not provoke them, true God tier definitely could not participate in the war between the Lord of all races. Previously, saving Bai He was considered saving himself. As for the dispute between the lords of the myriad races, the Supreme Will would naturally make a reasonable judgment. From the fact that the Supreme Will did not attack the Yellow Emperor, Patriarch Lu, and White River, the Supreme Will clearly approved of the Yellow Emperor and the others' actions of saving themselves. Yes, my lord. All the deities greeted Bai He respectfully. Bai He nodded and looked at Zhou Zhou. After I leave, as the master of this battle, everything here will be up to you. If anyone disobeys, contact me immediately, he said. All right, Senior Bai He. Zhou Zhou nodded. Bai He didn't say anything else, and his body gradually disappeared into thin air. After Bai He left, the gods let out a sigh of relief. Every time I feel the pressure of the god of abyssal nights, it feels so terrifying. Who would have thought that a person who's not much older than us would cultivate to this extent without anyone knowing? Even we have to call him Lord Da. Could it be that His Excellency Bai He wants to hand us all over to the King of the Blazing Sun to command? Why? What right does a human junior who isn't even a true immortal realm expert have to command me? If he wants to command, it should be Empress Myrtle Star. Silence. Don't you know that His Holiness, the King of the Blazing Sun, defeated the heavenly Bodhisattva of light, Roygar, with a fair and square strike in front of the senior executives of the human race? With this result, he's already the 6th counselor of our human race. Do you think he has the right to command us? Ah. Really? Even if Regal Panga was alive, he probably wouldn't be able to do such a ridiculous thing, right? Among the god spirits of the human race, it was unknown who started it, but he revealed Zhou Zhou's battle results at the Supreme Council, shocking the god spirits of the human race who did not know about this. Of course, there were also many human god spirits who had clearly heard of this matter before coming. Their expressions did not change much. But even so, they could not help but look at Zhou Zhou again. Gradually, as more and more god spirits learned of Zhou Zhou's achievements, more and more human god spirits looked at him. It was as if he wanted to see what background this King of the Blazing Sun had to be able to do such a ridiculous thing. Zhou Zhou's expression was calm. Facing the gazes of the gods, his heart did not waver. Everyone, get ready. I've just brought my troops back. Let my soldiers rest for an hour. In an hour, we'll set off to fight those fog monsters, he said. All right, 6th counselor. We all listened to the King of the Blazing Sun. It's been a long time since I experienced such a large-scale battle. I really miss it. We, the 4 Imperials, will definitely do our best. For this true immortal realm weapon, let's do it. The immortals responded one after another. When Zhou Zhou saw this, he immediately called for people to arrange a place for these immortals to rest. Then, he called Zheng Yuanqi and returned to the advanced grade lord's paradise. In the study, Your Majesty, this is the specific information of the human immortals and god spirits of the people of foreign races who came to our Blazing Sun Kingdom this time. Zheng Yuanqi sent a report to Zhou Zhou's personal terminal. Zhou Zhou opened it and started reading. This was written. A total of 76 god spirits came today. There were a total of 61 god spirits from the human race. There were 42 low-tier deity level, 12 mid-tier deity level, and 7 high-tier deity level. There were also 15 people of foreign race god spirits introduced by the humans. Among them, there were 8 low-level, 5 mid-tier deity levels, and 2 high-tier deity levels. Zhou Zhou looked at the list and quickly discovered many names from myths and legends that he had heard of on Cerulean Planet and Earth. However, some of it seemed to be true. For example, the low-tier deity level intermediate grade Starlord Martial Song, a mid-tier deity level Elder Zhenyuan, a high-tier deity level advanced grade goddess of Holy Land. There were many other names. There are many inconsistencies with the fame and status of the myths and legends I know. Zhou Zhou was deep in thought. Then, he quickly thought of a possibility. Could it be that a portion of the myths and legends he knew came from regal Pangu's primordial world and not the high continent? If that was the case, then everything that seemed to be the case could be explained. Everyone was not from the same system, so they definitely could not forcefully copy the myths and legends that Zhou Zhou knew. Let's forget the myths and legends of our hometown. For the time being, we'll use the actual situation of the supreme continent as the basis. When I have time, I'll see if I can go to regal Panga's primordial world to take a look. Zhou Zhou thought to himself, Your Majesty, just now, Legion Commander Bai Yun came over to say that the lords from the kingdom where the 16 Kings Alliance was located have all come over. They are currently waiting for His Majesty in conference room, one of the administrative hall. At this moment, Aaliyah's voice came from outside the door. Prime Minister, let's go take a look together. Zhou Zhou smiled at Zhang Yuanqi. Of course, I'll listen to Your Majesty. Zhang Yuanqi chuckled. Zhou Zhou nodded. Then, the two of them walked out of the advanced grade Lord's Paradise and arrived at conference room, one of the administrative hall. As soon as Zhou Zhou arrived, he saw more than 200,000 lords of different races gathered here. If not for the fact that the administrative hall had expanded after many territory upgrades, it would not have been able to accommodate so many lords gathered here. Even so, it was also very crowded here. Greetings, Your Majesty. As soon as they walked into conference room 1, they heard earth-shattering cheers. All the people of foreign races' lords were cheering for Zhou Zhou. Zhou Zhou raised his right hand and gently pressed it down. He heard the lords' voices gradually lower. Obeying orders. This was the prestige of the current king of the blazing sun among the lords, even if they had never seen it before. Welcome to the blazing sun kingdom, Zhou Zhou said. The lords responded. Your Majesty, this is the specific list of all the lords in the territory of the original 16 Kingdoms Alliance. It records their abilities, strength, and previous lord experiences. At this moment, Bai Yun walked over from the side and sent a list of names to Zhou Zhou's personal terminal. Zhou Zhou glanced at it and smiled. There were a total of 253,681 people of foreign races lords who came from the original territory of the 16 Kings Alliance. How many Lord Talent Crystal fragments would this provide him? Zhou Zhou's eyes lit up. Then, he took a deep breath and suppressed the excitement in his heart. He looked at the lords and said, Since everyone can come here, most of you should know why I called you lords here. I'll explain to the lord who doesn't understand yet. The first reason I called you here is, firstly, this king wants to see how everyone's aptitude is. If your aptitude is good, this king will not be stingy with the rewards. Second purpose. It's for the sake of your future appointments in the Blazing Sun Kingdom. Through today's parliament, we will arrange where everyone will take office in the future. Of course, in order for everyone to quickly adapt to the inauguration environment in the future and be able to showcase their strengths in their positions, our official personnel will also prioritize you to work in your own countries. We will also arrange specific official positions according to your ability, direction, and level. In terms of treatment, everyone should have heard about the treatment of officials in our Blazing Sun Kingdom. I believe everyone doesn't have to worry about this. When Zhou Zhou said the first few sentences, the people of foreign race lords did not react. However, when it came to treatment, the lords of the people of foreign races nodded repeatedly. The main reason why they were willing to continue serving under the Blazing Sun Kingdom was because the Blazing Sun Kingdom had given them too much. Seeing that the lords of the people of foreign races did not have any objections to his words, Zhou Zhou gave the staff beside him a look. The staff understood. He opened his personal terminal and sent a specific treatment regulation and reward and punishment regulation to the personal terminals of all the people of foreign race lords present. A small item like a personal terminal had already been released in the entire kingdom of the Blazing Sun. The lords present had already gotten one, so they had all received the contents of the specific rules and regulations. Zhou Zhou did not say anything at this moment, leaving them time to read and understand. A moment later, All the people of foreign races lords finished reading the specific rules and regulations. They looked at each other and saw the unconcealable joy in each other's eyes. Even though they had heard about it previously, they actually did not know what kind of treatment the Blazing Sun Kingdom received. They only knew a little about it. But now, after understanding it in detail, they realized how shocking the treatment of the Blazing Sun Kingdom was. This treatment is 10 times better than what I received in the Maple Moon Kingdom. I understand now. It turns out that at the end of the High Continent is the civil servant of the Blazing Sun Kingdom. This treatment, it's awesome. Even though I said that I have to complete certain performance requirements to secure my position in the Blazing Sun Kingdom, for this benefit, I can even King be a dog for the Blazing Sun Kingdom subject? Bring me along. I'm a member of the Blazing Sun Kingdom in life, and a ghost of the Blazing Sun Kingdom in death. The lords of the people of foreign races were extremely excited when they saw the treatment of the officials. Zhou Zhou watched this scene calmly as the notifications of the increase in loyalty kept ringing in his ears. Coupled with Zhou Zhou's various titles, Lord Talent, Ancestral Enhancement, Race Divine Artifacts, and other buffs to increase loyalty. After a while, more than half of the loyalty of these 250,000 lords had increased to 90 points or even higher in just a few minutes. This is the charm of talent and benefits. Zhou Zhou sighed inwardly. After the people of foreign race lords gradually calmed down, Zhou Zhou stood up and looked at them. Everyone, in order to verify your loyalty to the Blazing Sun Kingdom, this king will conduct a test on all of you. The test is harmless. After the test, all of you will be on our side. At that time, I will give you some rewards. Pay attention. During the test, you must not have any thoughts of resisting. Otherwise, the test will fail. At that time, I will need to specially do it again for the Lord who failed. It's quite troublesome. Zhou Zhou said. The people of foreign races lords were not surprised at all. They had heard of this before coming and were already prepared. Seeing that the lords did not object, Zhou Zhou did not waste his breath and directly poured the chaotic sacred power in his body into the thief's robber's glove on his right arm. Right on the heels of that, he used the Master Thief's robbery gloves to steal all the Lord Talent crystal fragments of the 253,681 people of foreign races into his king's treasure box. He took a look and a smile appeared on his face. In his king's treasure box, a small mountain made of various Lord Talent crystal fragments appeared. This little mountain had 1,509,875 black iron tier Lord Talent crystal fragments, 16,121 green bronze tier Lord Talent crystal fragments, 6,350 white platinum tier Lord Talent crystal fragments, 3,750 yellow gold tier Lord Talent crystal fragments, 1,560 white platinum tier Lord Talent crystal fragments, 321 diamond tier Lord Talent crystal fragments, 60 extraordinary tier Lord Talent crystal fragments, 12 epic tier Lord Talent crystal fragments, and 7 legendary tier Lord Talent crystal fragments. I'm rich. Zhou Zhou was excited. This time, he could upgrade his Lord Talent. In a while, after you know your official position, you can go to the quartermaster and receive at least 1,000 copies of the yellow gold tier God Attendant class change certificate or the Violent Storm Spirit class change certificate according to your loyalty, aptitude, and strength. These two soldier types are both kingdom-level soldier types. I believe you won't be disappointed. Zhou Zhou had obtained a large number of Lord Talent crystal fragments and was in a good mood. He smiled and said to the lords, causing the lords of the people of foreign races to cheer. Seeing this, Zhou Zhou did not say anything else. He handed the rest to Zheng Yuanqi and left. Advanced Grade Lord's Paradise. In the study, Zhou Zhou sat in front of the desk. With a thought, he opened his Lord Talent panel. A total of 32 Lord Talents appeared in front of him. Every Lord Talent was enough to make countless lords go crazy. Zhou Zhou looked at these Lord Talents and began to think about how he should upgrade that Lord Talent. He now had quite a number of Lord Talent crystal fragments. He had 31 epic tier Lord Talent crystal fragments, 25 legendary tier Lord Talent crystal fragments, and even 6 mythical tier unique Lord Talent crystal fragments. Without planning to create the mythical tier unique Lord Talent, he could completely create 2 legendary tier Lord Talents. As for the mythical tier unique Lord Talent, Zhou Zhou planned to only use the mythical tier unique Lord Talent crystal fragment to create it. He did not plan to accumulate legendary tier and legendary tier Lord Talent crystal fragments to fuse them. After all, if he really wanted to save up, he did not know when he would be able to. A famous skit actor once said, "The biggest pain in life would be when a person did not spend his money when he was alive." Zhou Zhou's thoughts were very simple. Let's have fun first. Let's upgrade the blessing of the war god first. Zhou Zhou did not hesitate. He decided to increase his Lord Talent, which was the fastest to increase his strength. In the future, if he wanted to catch up to those top-notch race civilizations that had developed for tens of thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years, millions of years, or even longer, he would mainly rely on this Lord Talent. He first took out 10 legendary tier Lord Talent crystal fragments and fused them into a legendary tier Lord Talent origin divine crystals. Then, he chanted in his heart to use them. The next second, the legendary tier Lord Talent origin divine crystals in his hand emitted an even brighter golden light. A text notification appeared. As you have 4 epic tier Lord Talents, blessing of the 10 gods at the same time. Please choose one to advance. I choose the blessing of the 10 gods, blessing of the war god to advance. Zhou Zhou said without hesitation. Zhou Zhou felt that his talent intuition was enough for now. He did not think that there was a need to level up for the time being. A master of super quests. This talent was not bad, but it depended too much on luck. It was too random. Zhou Zhou did not plan to upgrade it. Zhou Zhou's attitude towards it was mainly up to fate. As for the Dark Walker, Zhou Zhou felt that the alchemist professionals were doing quite well. In addition, the Dark Walker's current ability was enough, so Zhou Zhou had no intention of upgrading it. Looking at it this way, upgrading the blessing of the 10 gods, the blessing of the war god, was the best choice. Lord Talent has been chosen. Upgrading in progress. The next second, he felt a familiar warm feeling between his eyebrows. Zhou Zhou was filled with anticipation. A moment later, the warmth on his forehead gradually disappeared. A new text notification appeared. Lord Talent upgrade successful. Congratulations, your epic tier Lord Talent, blessing of the 10 gods, blessing of the war god, has been upgraded to legendary. Tier Lord Talent, blessing of the 10 gods, blessing of the war god. You have leveled up to legendary tier Lord Talent effect. Lord Talent, blessing of the 10 gods, blessing of the war god, legendary, tier. Blessing of the 10 gods, blessing of the war god. One of the 10 main gods under the Supreme will has blessed you and your combat type professionals. You and your combat type professionals will receive an additional 9,000% promotion energy after killing the enemy. Zhou Zhou looked at the bonus and nodded slightly. The increase in the effect of this Lord Talent was similar to what he had guessed previously. Epic tier is 8,000%. The legendary tier is 9,000%. In other words, by killing an enemy, you can obtain an additional 90 times of promotion energy. Then, at the mythical tier, the only level should be to obtain an additional 100 times of promotion energy, right? Zhou Zhou speculated. He suddenly felt that it was more than that. His previous legendary tier Lord Talent, 100% drop rate, had undergone a qualitative change after advancing to the mythical tier. Even the name of his Lord Talent had changed. I'll look at it when this Lord Talent reaches the mythical tier level. Zhou Zhou thought to himself. He was looking forward to what effect the blessing of the 10 gods, the blessing of the war god, would have when it was upgraded to the mythical tier, unique level. As for the effect of the current legendary tier Lord Talent, he was quite satisfied. The increase of 10 times the additional promotion energy was not a small number after all. Then, he took out 10 epic tier Lord Talent crystal fragments and fused them into 1 epic tier Lord Talent origin divine crystals. Then, he upgraded the insight defection. The Lord Talent, insight defection, could be said to be one of the most commonly used Lord Talents. Now, the number of insight defections has reached the upper limit. Since that was the case, it was time to upgrade it. Soon, As this epic tier Lord Talent crystal fragment was consumed, the extraordinary tier Insight Defection was successfully upgraded. Lord Talent, Insight Defection, Epic Tier, Insight Defection, a Lord's exclusive talent. When you fight the enemy Lord's faction head-on, you can activate the Insight Defection talent and make 25% of the enemy Lord's faction your loyal subordinate. Lord Talent Hint 1. The minimum number of enemies you can incite using the Insight Defection is 1 unit, and the maximum number of enemies you can incite using the Insight Defection is 1,000,000 units. The loyalty of the enemies after using Insight Defection will be at least 89 points. Lord Talent Notification 2. Currently, the upper limit of the Lord faction level that you can induce Insight Defection is high-tier deity level advanced grade Lord faction. This upper limit can grow. Lord Talent Notification 3. This talent can only be activated twice a day. Lord Talent Notification. This talent cannot be activated twice against the same Lord faction in the same day. Zhou Zhou looked at the enhanced Insight Defection and nodded. Whether it was the ratio of the number of Insight Defections, the upper limit of the number of enemies, or the upper limit of the enemy Lord faction of the Insight Defection, they had all clearly increased. Zhou Zhou did not hesitate. He consumed another 10 Legendary Tier Lord Talent Crystal Fragments and created a Legendary Tier Lord Talent Origin Divine Crystals to upgrade Insight Defection to the Legendary Tier. Then, he looked at the latest information on the Insight Defection talent. Lord Talent, Insight Defection, Legendary Tier, Insight Defection, a Lord's exclusive talent. When you fight the enemy Lord's faction head-on, you can activate the Insight Defection talent and make 25% of the enemy Lord's faction your loyal subordinate. After every 10 Insight Defections, a spellcaster who has mastered Insight Surrender will be born among the soldiers you instigate. If you send this spellcaster into the enemy camp to surrender, there will be a 10% chance that all the members of the enemy Lord's camp will surrender to your loyal subordinates. Lord Talent Notification 1. The minimum number of enemies for Insight Defection is 1 unit of enemies, and the maximum number of enemies for Insight Defection is 300 million units of enemies. The minimum loyalty of enemies after Insight Defection is 90 points. Lord Talent Notification 2. Currently, the upper limit of the Feudal Lord faction level that you can induce Insight Defection is the true God-tier elementary grade Feudal Lord faction. This upper limit can grow. Lord Talent Notification 3. This talent can only be activated twice a day. Lord Talent Notification 4. This talent cannot be used twice against the same enemy Lord faction. Special Lord Talent Notification 5. When you use this Lord Talent for the first time, you will obtain 100% of a spellcaster who has mastered the Insight Surrender skill. After reading the information about the Insight Surrender, Zhou Zhou's eyes immediately lit up with surprise. This Insight Defection talent actually has a new ability, the spellcaster, who mastered Insight Surrender. After Zhou Zhou calmed down, he began to think. He had heard of spellcaster before. It was a type of strategist who was also eloquent, being able to turn black into white and white into black. An example would be when two countries fought, one was stronger and the other was weaker. At this time, if the weaker side had a spellcaster, they could send this spellcaster to the enemy country to negotiate. At that time, with spellcasters' courage, strategy, knowledge, and words, they might be able to persuade the stronger side to retreat. They might even be able to turn hostility into friendship. Of course, in most cases, spellcasters' success rate was extremely low. Only spellcasters with outstanding eloquence could accomplish such a feat of saving a country. Perfect. I'll be able to use my Insight Defection in the latter half of the night. By then, those fog monsters should have already arrived. At that time, I will have my number 1 spellcaster. Zhou Zhou was very satisfied. This legendary tier Insight Defection had indeed given him many surprises. Then, he looked at the other Lord talents. After pondering for a moment, he continued to level up. First of all, his first upgrade was the Lord talent, the Shelter of the Goddess of Life, which was currently at the extraordinary tier level. Now, under his 2 Insight Defections today, the number of soldiers under his command had already reached 4.3 billion. Moreover, as he developed in the future, The growth of the number of soldiers under his command would only become more and more exaggerated. Under such circumstances, as the main force of the Blazing Sun Kingdom's healing and resurrecting soldiers, the number and strength of the clergy in the Goddess of Life shelter had to keep up with the speed at which his strength increased, especially the number of clergymen and priests. As the only two divine duty classes who had mastered the small resurrection spell, 15 million clergymen and 15 million priests were still too few. Soon, as 10 epic tier Lord Talent crystal fragments were consumed, the shelter of the Goddess of Life's Lord Talent successfully advanced to the epic tier level. Zhou Zhou looked at the upgraded Lord Talent information. He found that it was still the same as before. It only hinted that there was a special building in his territory, the shelter of the Goddess of Life. Other than that, there were no other hints. Zhou Zhou shook his head and continued to upgrade his Lord Talent. He didn't think for long. He fused 10 epic tier Lord Talent crystal fragments into an epic tier Lord Talent origin divine crystals and used them on Monster Ranch. The Monster Ranch was one of the most fundamental reasons why he could have today's achievement. Naturally, Zhou Zhou would not forget this great contributor. After the upgrade was completed, he only had one epic tier Lord Talent crystal fragment. Then, he looked at the talent information of the epic tier Monster Ranch and realized that it was the same as the shelter of the Goddess of Life. They only gave him a simple hint that his territory had the method to build the Monster Ranch, and then nothing else. Zhou Zhou did not mind. He also upgraded 8 Lord Talents: Mysterious Caravan, White Platinum tier; Alchemist Guild, Diamond tier; Return to the City, Diamond tier; Embrace of the Conqueror, Diamond tier; Collector, Diamond tier; Connate Spirit Body, Diamond tier; Spirit Body 6, Diamond tier; Blessing of the 10 Gods, Wisdom Master God's Blessing, Diamond tier. The remaining Zhou Zhou did not level up for the time being. One was because the advanced Lord Talent crystal fragment had almost been exhausted. He planned to keep the rest to upgrade the Lord Talent that concerned his path to becoming a god. On the other hand, he felt that there was no need to continue upgrading other Lord Talents. For example, the White Platinum tier Peach Luck and the Beauty Lord Talent. Zhou Zhou was not interested in upgrading them. There was also the Diamond tier Lord Talent, Gift of the Machina. Currently, Zhou Zhou felt that the galaxies were enough. There was even a lot of surplus that he had not used, so he did not upgrade it. He planned to keep their Lord Talent crystal fragments to level up his Lord Talent, King, in the future. A moment later, as 10 Diamond tier Lord Talent crystal fragments and 70 Extraordinary tier Lord Talent crystal fragments were consumed, all the Lord Talents had been upgraded. Zhou Zhou looked at the information of these Lord Talents. The more he looked at it, the wider the smile on his face grew. Lord Talent, Mysterious Caravan, Diamond tier. Mysterious Caravan. Your territory has a mysterious caravan blessed by the Supreme Will. You can send them out to buy resources needed by your territory or sell goods made by your territory's subjects. Supreme Blessing, Mysterious Trading. In the eyes of your subjects, the mysterious caravan is just an ordinary caravan that helps the territory carry out transactions. In the eyes of outsiders, the mysterious caravan is a special caravan that will never be known. Outsiders will never know who it is working for or what their ultimate goal is. Supreme Blessing, Treasure Hunting. Mysterious caravan has been blessed by the Supreme Will. It is easier for them to purchase rare and valuable random treasures during the trading process. Supreme Blessing, Unlimited Rite of Passage. Kingdom level. The mysterious caravan can conduct business in any territory below the kingdom level. Even if it's a closed area that rejects living beings from the outside world, the mysterious caravan has the right to enter and carry out their business activities. Lord Talent, Alchemy Kingdom, Extraordinary tier. Specific Talent Effect 1. Your country is extremely good at alchemy. Not only do you have a large number of alchemy masters of various elements, but you also have an endless stream of talented young alchemists. There were even alchemist professionals from the outside world who had traveled thousands of miles because they had heard of the Alchemy Kingdom's reputation. Due to various reasons, your country is also known as the Alchemy Kingdom by the life forms of the world. Specific Talent Effect 2. As an Alchemy Kingdom, every territory in your kingdom has a special building, Alchemy Union. In this Alchemy Union, a large number of alchemy pharmacists, alchemy technicians, alchemy techies, alchemy enchanters, and other alchemy professionals were gathered. They are engrossed in alchemy research while selling a large number of alchemy class products to the outside world in order to buy expensive alchemy equipment. They will provide a large number of jobs and taxes for your country. Specific talent effect 3. As the master of the alchemy kingdom, you can let these alchemy professionals be at your disposal. This includes, but is not limited to, Mist Core. Send your subjects to the Alchemy Union for further training, and then change their occupation to alchemy professionals. Unconditional mobilization of the Alchemist Union's resources, and get the alchemist professionals work for you unconditionally. Specific talent effect 4. When you and your subordinate forces go out to hunt fog monsters, you will encounter fog monsters that have a certain probability of dropping alchemy series items. This includes, but is not limited to, the alchemy potion recipe, alchemy technology product blueprint, alchemy materials pack, alchemy technician recruitment order, alchemy items.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe.